I am live. Can't be say can't be. I am live. I am live. Hello. 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 You all come in. Come in. Come on in the room and hit that like, hit that share button. Listen, and approximately like 15 minutes, right? If you're a sports person, follow sports. Maybe you're not. Even if you don't follow sports, you want to listen to this live stream. If you follow the economy, cryptocurrency, credit repair, all of that, any of the above. And so, get to my destination. Can't post comments to some destination. Okay. Telling me I can't post comment. Let me know what part of the world, some of you all may not can comment, that you are tuning in from. If you can comment, I just got a message there, may not comment. But I'm going to break down for you all the economic symbolism. If you keep up with college basketball, we have Don Stanley, South Carolina, Gamecocks versus the UConn, the legacy, legendary UConn Huskies today. Coach Gino, and I'm going to break down the economic symbolism. Now, you can think I'm a conspiracy theory. I'm fine with that. No problem if that's your thoughts. However, I believe it's not a conspiracy. All right. It's not a theory, but it is a conspiracy. But I'm going to show you or explain to you my conspiracy theory, right? That's what you want to call me or refer to me as or think of me as on South Carolina and UConn. Now, you see it plain as day in the colors. South Carolina, China colors, the Gamecock, the crimson red type color, the little embellishment of the yellow, right, and white represent China, and the Gamecock that's connected to China and its symbolisms and culture as well. And then you have UConn that was really, really plain to see. It was not even hidden in plain sight. We got UConn in the red, the white, and the blue with the U right there representing the United States in the UConn on their jerseys, often in red. So what is the symbolism, as I have a couple of minutes to break this down before tip off of the game? Well, the rooster, the Gamecock, again with South Carolina, it represents Chinese culture. It's one of the 12 Chinese zodiac animals in the Chinese culture, and it's associated with pride and vigilance, and symbolizes bravery and protection, right? And it's a national image also. Let me see what's going on. Why I can't see some of the comments. Okay, I can see somebody said go Gamecock. So if you Impossible Doc, thank you for tuning in. Hold on. I took a screen, but I don't know. Now I can see. I took a screenshot glitch of XPR being around 68 cents. Wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be great? Around 3 a.m. Okay. Go Gamecock. So I'm really not doing this live stream to, for my sports fanatics to be saying I'm for UConn or I'm for South Carolina. Although I am a basketball coach, so on the sports side, I am for South Carolina as well, Don Stanley. But I'm doing this so you all can see the hidden symbolism that sports will forecast or show you if you have the eyes to see in the economy. We know that China, United States are two powerhouses, right? Two powerhouses when it comes to the United States economy. Now, the Gamecock is known for aggressive, fearless nature and battle, reflecting China assertive stance in global affairs. And then we have Huskies. The mascot for UConn is strong. It's an enduring sled dog, often associated, in sports. We got teamwork, resilience, survival in harsh conditions. And these can be some qualities that's associated with American or the American innovation, right? Of what America tends to take pride in, blue collar workers, hard work, right? So, in a broader symbolic terms, the Huskies, the dogs, they are loyal, they're protective, they are adaptive. This is how the United States can see itself as well on the world stage, but yet powerful, right? And influential. So then we have now the East versus the West, seen as a rivalry. UConn, South Carolina had become a rivalry in women's sports. And the East versus the West, two global powers, two distant cultures, values, different leadership styles of Don Stanley coaching, Gino, right, coaching, discipline, innovation, the roots of the game, the Gamecock. Look at my arrow. Symbolize tradition, again, China, discipline, the hallmark of China and its governance. The Husky represents or symbolizes a bold forward movement characteristic often associated with the United States. So I don't know who's going to win from a sports perspective, but I am just from a spectator, not having those spiritual eyes to see what this represents in the economy, just being a regular spectator. Again, I am going for the Gamecock, Don Stanley. I'm a big fan of hers and her coaching, right? But I've also loved what Gino does as well with UConn. But again, the Gamecock represents China. It crows not just for Don, right, Don Stanley, but for dominance. And Gamecocks are rooted in Confucian, you know what that is, Confucian order and ancient empires. So the rooster, again, in Chinese tradition, is more than a farm animal. It's like a guardian, a fighter, a creature that refuses to back down once it's engaged in war or fight. Then we got Huskies, cold, wind, of pressure, American symbol. Is not flashy, but relentless. It's a thick coat. It never built for comfort. That's what Trump really is about. United States, much like this sled dog, it's all about innovation, mobility, unshakable belief in its journey going forward. It's a Husky. Regardless of the obstacles, it thrives on adversity and builds momentum just from the grind of things. So the Gamecock is more grounded and it's proud. And that's how China, it represents China, is a sovereignty, influence, demanding respect through structure and vision. The Husky is a traveler, strength in a collective way of pulling back and the freedom on the open terrain. Huskies captures American fuel just by the emotion, always advancing, always adapting. However, the United States is slower to advancing and adapting. And that's why many people don't understand why Trump is moving at this sled dog type momentum, right? Because we're behind China. So it's much like a test of tradition versus transformation, discipline versus disruption. That's what Trump represents. Control versus creativity. Just like our global affairs, the changing from cash to cryptocurrency is not just simply about victory, but about who can overcome between the two powerhouses of the United States, who can endure, and China. So, you all, this is what about this is the China versus United States. I'm also going to break down Houston Cougars, the men's side, and Florida Gators, what that means symbolically. But I'm going to end on this live stream as the game is about to tip off. Peter Schiff says that Nike won't build factories in the United States, from Yahoo Sports. So Peter Schiff feels like that Nike won't build factories in the U.S., that these tariffs, and also China came back with an additional tariffs of 34% on the United States. So China's like, we're not backing down, United States. And he said they won't build factories in the U.S. They will sell to countries like China a much cheaper strategy. So he's saying Nike will sell to China a cheaper strategy, and that production will not ship to the United States in lieu of these tariffs, right? Which is going to bring in higher prices. This is what I've been telling Americans. You're going to see higher prices as a result of these tariffs. And according to Peter Schiff, global economist, he says Nike won't build factories in the United States to make sneakers. They will add more to the cost at 40% tariffs. And the result will be fewer sneakers sold in the United States at a much higher price. So we got supply and demand, fewer sneakers going on. And that's just not with Nike, but you got to look at other countries. Are they going to come back and build the United States? We got artificial intelligence. We got AI. Me and someone says, "Hey, Queen from Memphis. One of the senior citizens here in your every chat. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for tuning in from Memphis. For some reason, it's a little bit more challenging for me to post the comments. I have to push this button that says on stage, and I don't know if there's something that's updated here on my streaming, because it's been a couple of days since I live streamed. With that being said, good day to you. Just my 2 cents. Thank you for tuning in. So this really is symbolism of China versus United States. That's what we see. If you keep up with sports, you saw Juju with USC, and it's deeper than the average spectator is going to be able to see beyond. So I'm also going to break down the Florida, the men's side, and Houston Cougars and the Florida Gators. What's that symbolic of as well? Even though I keep up with women's sports much, much more. But all I'm saying, you all, these terrorists, China versus United States, the Department of Education has to be torn down very quickly, because this revamping is going to happen by September the 30th of this year. So all these things, all this revamping, this push to get into artificial intelligence, the push to get more technology and AI into classrooms, into teaching. I've heard Trump go on record that says United States ranks, I think, 40 something in education amongst all the other countries. We're ranked 40th something. And then you have to look at the symbolism behind Trump. 45th president, which equals 9. And then now the 47th president, which equals 11. There you see it, 9/11. You see the 9/11. This is an emergency year. He has to move expeditiously. But manufacturing coming back to America. And then you got to look at how much. Let me see. How much land does China own in America? Let's see. Let's pull that up. Let's Google that. How much land does China own in America? So for a lot of people that's saying, manufacturing coming back to America and all this, China owns 383,935 acres of land in the United States, and that's agricultural land. And yeah, 383,985 acres. The majority of this land is in Texas, North Carolina. So we got the Carolinas connected, Missouri, and Utah. And the land is linked to, agriculture, the purchase of Smithfield Foods, the largest meat producer or pork producer. Also, that's a lot of land, 383,000 acres. Um, and Canada, the largest foreign owner of U.S. agricultural land as well. Listen, Canada owns 12.8 million acres, which is about 31% of our foreign held agricultural land. So Canada owns a lot as well. So that's why Trump, is trying to take over some ownership of Canada as well, because of they own millions of acres of land, and China owns 300 over 383,000. Top of the day to you as well. And what is it? Top of the day, Hog Major. Thank you for that. So with that being said, other countries own a lot of United States land, which gives them more power, right? And so, is it? Wait a minute. So we're not manufacturing anything, United States. Much of our clothing is made in Vietnam and out. This is why we get them at affordable and cheap pricing. We're going to see these prices escalate. It's going to pass on the buck. Um, I'm sorry, Trump. I got Trump trying to buy Greenland, right? Greenland, Denmark. That's what he's trying to buy. So, with that being said, you all, I just tell you all to get ready for higher prices. We already see our gas prices spike. Get ready for hyperinflation. Get ready to, well, Greenland is northeast of Canada. I'm just, I'm kind of, yeah, to the west of Canada. So, yeah, it's northeast of Canada. You all, for years, these citizens of other countries are paid 30, 40 cents per hour for production, so we can afford the cheap clothing, the cheap bourbon, wine from France, whatever we get, cheese exported. And this time, these other countries are not backing down. They're not, you know, Trump is going to devalue the dollar. We're going to see prices increase as a result. You're going to see these infrastructures that have not worked for years be totally, like 9/11. I brought up 9/11 and Trump 45 and 47. Totally brought down like the Twin Towers. And going to be restructured and rebuilt back up. I mean, total fast destruction. You remember how fast the Twin Towers were demolished and just, went down? Well, that's how fast this is happening. For some people, they are so far behind. They don't understand the new financial system reset. They don't understand this is old money versus new money. They don't understand this is China versus America, really the two financial powerhouses. And so, with that being said, you need to open up your eyes. You need to know what's going on with this world order. You need to understand we're never going back to the old economy ever. You need to start understanding what crypto is. Um, you need to understand that this stock market, a lot of people money in the stock market, their 401k sank. And Possible Doc says, but we cannot just go over there and own land crazy. Well, United States should have been doing like China did. Should have been innovating. They should have been buying land. I mean, that's our government decision. And so, yeah, Trump wants the natural resources from Greenland, untapped resources. I know he's saying drill, baby, drill, and all of this, but America's going to have to manufacture something, and we're going to have to get rich resources, commodities in our land, just like South Africa have. That's part of the BRICS nation. Like these other countries, that's part of the BRICS nation. that have rich commodities, the gold, the silver, the oil, the pearls, right? And United States, God didn't make United States rich in commodities like that, and probably for a reason, because United States is Babylon. I won't get into that, but the natural resources and to reduce the United States reliance on foreign suppliers, right? So all of this, Denmark, Greenland, all this ties into U.S. versus China. So whether you're a sports fan or not, let's watch the game from that perspective, not just only, I don't have a problem with you watching it from a spectator's perspective, but let's watch the game from that economic U.S. versus China as well. And hey, let's see. Hey, let's go deep into this rabbit hole and see how the sporting industry is going to predict who's going to win. Now, it's predicted that UConn is favored to win, which will mean the United States dominance will continue if UConn wins. But the question is, if that's true, how long will that dominance continue? All right, y'all, I'm logging off. Let's watch this game. Make sure you're subscribed to me on YouTube. Like and share this video. Hit that thumbs up. Also, I'm going to break down later on Houston Cougars after this game versus the Florida Gators and its economic symbolism as well. You all have a great rest of your day. And remember to buy crypto, suckers. I'm logging off. Queen out.